Hey folks, I'm Brendan, and you're watching the Overqualified Henchman. So, been a rough week. If you're watching from the United States, yeah, this has been some Darkest Timeline stuff. And in that spirit, this week we're going to be talking about alternate universes, specifically in the context of fandom and fanfiction. That's right, we're talking what-ifs, elseworlds, upside-down, topsy-turvy mirror-verses. It's much ado about AUs. The idea of parallel worlds and realities is a staple of science fiction and fantasy, and alternate history is a genre in and of itself. For our purposes, though, when we say alternate universe, we're talking about one that's a variation on an existing world. One that's recognizable enough to give the changes some framework. Quick aside, you could make the argument that all fanfiction, by definition, takes place in an AU, because it depicts events that differ from canon. And when all fics are AUs, none of them will be. In other words, tagging a fic as taking place in an AU is only really useful if we save that term for stories with big changes. How big is a big change? Well, different fandoms care about canon compliance to wildly different degrees, so watch out for that. The easiest type of AU to understand is an alternate history, a divergence in events. These can be little changes, an individual makes one decision differently, or big changes, the other side won that war. As an example, there's that episode of Friends where Chandler's a comedy writer and Courtney Cox wore the fat suit and they live in a weird version of New York with only white people. Getting too real there, bring it back in. Most AUs are a little more high concept than that though, and either focus on changing the characters or changing the setting. A good example of an AU that changes the characters but keeps the setting, the genre the same, is the Star Trek Mirrorverse, where the good guys are bad guys, Spock has a goatee, and they all wear those awesome sashes. Have I mentioned how much I like those sashes before? I feel like that's probably come up. You could also have an AU where the characters are different genders, or swap superpowers around. Those changes might affect everyone, or just one character. It's always pretty popular to change things around enough so that one really cool bad guy could be on the side of the angels. You could also keep the characters the same, but change the setting. Like, what if Star Wars took place in feudal Japan? Or that episode of News Radio where they're a spaceship crew. My references aren't old, your face is old. Old face. Understand, though, that these are not mutually exclusive categories. It's pretty hard to change the setting without changing the characters, and it's pretty hard to change anything without changing events. With that in mind, let's start talking about some of the most popular specific AUs, starting with what I would call a guilty pleasure if I still possess the capacity to feel shame, the coffee shop AU. This one's pretty straightforward. You take whatever cast of characters you're working with, and now they're the employees and regular patrons of a coffee shop. Now, it doesn't have to be a coffee shop. It could be a diner, a burger joint, a pizzeria, a deli, a soda shop, a chocolatier, a bookstore, a florist, a strip club. They have a buffet. The point is some kind of service industry that forces interaction and serves as an excuse to get all of your characters into a communal space. There's a reason so many sitcoms use a coffee shop or something similar as one of their main locations. It's a really convenient setup. Now, a coffee shop AU is also usually a present-day AU, and a no powers or everybody's a human AU, as applicable. Say you're doing a coffee shop AU for the Mass Effect series. Well, Tali can't be a Quarian anymore because there aren't any Quarians in this setting. But she could be a recently immigrated refugee who's working in the coffee shop to pay for her aerospace engineering degree. That's the magic of AUs. In a similar vein, another really popular AU is the high school or college AU. Now, obviously this means changing the setting, but it also usually involves changing the ages of the characters as well. Remember that cartoon spin-off of Disney's Hercules that had Herc and characters like Icarus and Cassandra attending high school in ancient Greece? My Little Pony has a whole series of movies in a high school AU where they're sort of human, I guess? Maybe a better example is the mobile game Avengers Academy. It takes all kinds of different Marvel characters and has them attending a university run by Nick Fury. The gameplay is pretty much non-existent, and it's a transparent money grab, and I love it anyway. Captain America does the Charleston. For 8 hours, he does the Charleston. The high school AU gives us a good segue into an example of a crossover that you'll see in pretty much any fandom. The Hogwarts AU. Part of what makes this one so popular is it lets you sort your favorite characters into the Hogwarts houses. Like, take Batman's sidekicks. Like, obviously Tim goes in Ravenclaw, that's a gimme, and I'd probably put Steph in Gryffindor because she gets by mostly on guts. Carrie goes in Hufflepuff because her whole thing is being loyal to Batman when nobody else was. I'm still kind of getting a feel for Duke, and I feel like it's maybe too easy to put Jason in Slytherin, but I'm not sure where else he fits. Avatar: The Last Airbender AUs are popular for basically the same reason. Dick is clearly an air nomad because the Flying Graysons were part of a traveling circus, and we should move on. The more obvious type of crossover AU has the cast of two different franchises meeting, like the time Star Trek crossed over with the X-Men. That's a real thing. Didn't make that up. There's plenty of other AU staples. The Hospital AU, the Fantasy Adventure AU, the Everybody Lives AU. Just this once, Rose. Everybody lives! And with the rebooted Star Trek movies or the Flash TV show making heavy use of the idea of alternate timelines, you're probably starting to feel pretty comfortable with AUs. And obviously I can't have you feeling comfortable, so let's talk about one of the strangest but simultaneously most popular AUs in fanfiction. The Soulmates AU. Here's how this one works. Setting stays the same, characters stay the same. But in this world, everyone has the first sentence that their future soulmate will say to them. Hasn't happened yet, will say to them, written somewhere on their body. Just shows up on there like a birthmark. It's a world where meet-cutes are a cosmic law. And I'll be honest, I don't know where this one came from. I mean, probably Tumblr. It seems like a Tumblr thing. But that idea has become so popular that you will find Soulmates AU fic for just about any fandom you might care to look through. Because fandom is a strange and beautiful creature. AUs are great because they let you highlight one part of a story by changing around the details of the other parts. They let you really zero in on what's most important about a character, or a conflict, or a country. A lot of the time, they're just self-indulgent, wishful thinking. But sometimes they can help you explore how to move towards that better version. Now, a little bit of bookkeeping. I've been asked, when am I going to do another shipping manifest video? Well, the answer depends on you. Let me know in the comments what you want to see the shipping manifest cover. Do you want to see a particular series? Do you want to see an update to the Overwatch shipping manifest for Anna and Sombra? Let me know. And hey, while you're at it, remember to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep on henching. I have a beard because I am the evil version.